It's almost Easter, so I'm going to show you how to make absolutely delicious hot cross buns. These are far better than any you'll buy in a supermarket. So first up, the ingredients. 500 grams of bread flour, 125 grams of mixed dried fruit. So I've got sultanas, raisins, apricots, cranberries, citrus peel in here. Use any combination that you like. This is just a bag of generic mixed fruit from the supermarket. 75 grams of caster sugar, 300 milliliters of milk, 1 egg, 7 grams of yeast, a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of cinnamon, teaspoon of mixed spice, and 50 grams of unsalted butter. So the first thing I'm doing is just getting a saucepan and I'm melting down the butter. This will only take about 30-40 seconds or so. That's pretty much it there. So once that's done, we're going to turn off the heat and we're going to add in our milk. We're just going to leave this to cool down until it's lukewarm. To make the dough, I'm going to use a mixer. You can do this by hand, but having a mixer on hand obviously makes it much easier and less work. So in goes your flour, and that was 500 grams. In goes your sugar, which was 75 grams. We're going to pop in our yeast, our salt, our cinnamon, and our mixed peel. In goes the egg. And in goes the buttermilk mixture. So we're going to mix this up now. This will be a couple of minutes. You probably want to leave this on for about 5 minutes if it's a mixer, or you're looking at about 10 to 12 minutes by hand. So after a few minutes, you should be looking at something like this, where this is coming together nicely. So we're just going to take this out. The moment it's going to be very, very sticky. But don't worry about that. Let's remove the machine away. Just going to lightly dust the surface with flour. And then let's pop out the dough. We're just going to spend a minute or two just lightly kneading that by hand. As you can see, it's come together very, very nicely. And by kneading it, all you're doing is you're going to pull it out, stretch it, pull it back in itself, and then you're going to rotate it 90 degrees. And we just keep working through that, and that builds up the gluten within the dough. If you're a subscriber, welcome back to the video. Really appreciate you coming back again. If you're not a subscriber, why not click that button now? Just takes a couple of seconds, and I've got tons and tons of videos that I want to share with you. Lots of hints and tips and tricks that I feel may be really useful. Especially if you're a parent and you think you're too busy to cook. Actually, I want to show that it doesn't have to cost a lot of money or take a lot of time to make really good food. So that's looking good. We've got a nice smooth ball of dough. I'm going to pop that into a bowl for about an hour or so until it starts to rise, and then we'll come back and we will add in our mixed fruit. So put that in a nice warm place and see it in about an hour. So about an hour later, here's our dough. It's gone up in size, or increased in size, So just going to take that out. And final ingredient is just the mixed fruit. So I'm going to pop that in. And we're just going to work it through the dough. So just take a couple of minutes, add a little bit more flour if you need to, just to stop it sticking. You can start to see fruit coming through. So a couple of minutes later, that's perfect. I'm going to just pop that back in the bowl, and we're going to leave that for another hour now. Right, so it's time to shape the buns. So let's take that out there. Easiest way to divide this up, we're going to divide it up into 12 pieces, is roll it into a log, roughly cut that in half, cut that in half again, and then we're going to cut each of these into 3. So you should end up with 12 roughly similar sized pieces. So once we've cut up the 12 pieces, we're just going to shape them into the buns. So just stretch and fold it back until you've got a nice bun shape. If you don't like mixed peel or dried fruit, you can leave it out. Replace it with chocolate, maybe chocolate chips, or pieces of apple or other fruit as well. So take a baking sheet with some parchment on it. I'm just going to pop all of the buns onto that. Leave a little gap in between, because then they will space out. Leave a small gap in between them, because we're going to leave them to rise for another 20-30 minutes while the oven preheats. And speaking of which, I'm going to preheat that to about 200 degrees centigrade or 180 degrees if you've got a fan assisted oven. We'll cover them with a towel and we'll be back in 20 minutes. Now, because these are hot cross buns and not just sticky buns, we obviously need to make a cross on them. So for this, we're going to take 75 grams of flour, and into that we're going to add 5 or 6 tablespoons of cold water. And what we're going to do is just make this into a paste, a bit like a wallpaper paste. You want it a nice thick but malleable consistency, so you're able to pop it into a piping bag and pipe it onto the buns. If it's too thick, add a little bit of water. If it's not quite thick enough, then just add a little bit more flour, but it should look something like this. So to make the crosses themselves, take a piping bag, or you can roll up a piece of greaseproof paper or baking paper like I've done, and start off just by piping them across one way across the buns, and then you're going to pipe down the other way. Now, art is not my strong point, so please forgive me for the not quite perfect crosses here. You get the idea though, and I'm sure you'll do a far better job. Once you've done that for all of the buns, and yep, they're not looking great at the moment, but they'll taste delicious, it's time to cook them. So pop them into the oven, and we're looking to cook them for about 18 to 20 minutes. Once they're done, and they're looking nice and golden brown after about 20 minutes or so, we're going to take them out, smelling absolutely delicious, these buns, especially with the spice in them as well. So as they are piping hot, we're going to add the stickiness to them. So we're going to take a couple of spoons of sugar, add a little bit of hot water, and you're just making a very basic syrup, which you're then going to just use a pastry brush and spread it onto the top. And once these cool down, they're just going to be nice and sticky. It adds a little bit more sweetness as well. Super Moorish, gets on your fingers. Children will absolutely love it, and so will adults. It really is that easy to make your own hot cross buns at home. I hope you liked the video. I'd love it if you were to like this video and share it. Drop a comment below and I'll get back to you. Take care, guys.